Hey guys, my name is Heather Lindsey.
And my name is Cornelius Lindsey.
And I'm so excited that you landed on Life with the Lindseys.
This is so exciting. This gives us an opportunity to share our life with yours.
Yes, we're going to be talking about everything from entrepreneurship to ministry to your purpose to why you are here, family, parenting, relationships, marriage, sex, you name it. We are talking about it.
So thank you so much for joining us today with Life with the Lindseys. Enjoy it.
What's up, everybody?
What up, though?
Is this light like whiting me out?
No, it's not whiting you out. Just doing a good job.
So, welcome to Life with the Lindseys.
Yeah, my name is Cornelius.
And my name is Heather, and we're so honored to have you here with us, just supporting. We just appreciate every download and every person that tunes in to listen to our rants every single week.
Rants every single week. Yeah, hopefully they're encouraging and edifying and all that kind of good stuff. But before we started, you had a wonderful idea.
Yeah.
You always come up with the topics for these things. So rock out, Sister Soldier.
So we had a really great conversation this week.
Yeah.
I know so many people heard about the passing of Chelsea.
Mm-hmm.
She was Miss USA and she committed suicide, and just her death is I don't know her, but I was just so broken by her passing, because if you go on her TikTok or you go on her Instagram and it's just all smiles all the time, you know, you would never even, and she's achieved so much. She's got 2 degrees. She's Miss USA. She's an E correspondent. Like, she's killing it, right?
Yeah.
From the outside looking in, it just looked like everything was perfect.
Yeah. And I think before we keep going, if this is triggering to you, we recognize it's triggering.
Yeah.
And if it is, then, you know, we want you to take the appropriate steps. And I think also, just to be sensitive, somebody shared this with me, which I never realized this before, but saying committing suicide it makes it sound criminal, committing. So instead of saying that, we say death by suicide. But nevertheless, I want to stop and just say, if this is triggering to you, please recognize we know this is a triggering topic. Yeah. Although triggering, we know this is one that we need to talk about, because it's something that is happening more and more. I mean, with Regina King, her son died by suicide. We had the CEO of MARTA in Atlanta who jumped in front of a MARTA train. Mm-hmm. You had even the young man who is in Atlanta. He played for, I think, Walking Dead or something else, but they haven't released exactly why. From people I know in Atlanta, they're saying that they assume it to be suicide. So you have a lot of people who are going through a lot of things. I think of something that was incredibly interesting about the young lady was that she wrote an article. And in that, I've read the article maybe 3 or 4 times through, because it was riveting. Mm-hmm. And it was something that I could really understand. And a part of the article, should I read that part?
Yeah, read it, baby.
I'll read that part. Let me see. Let me find it. Let me find it. Y'all enjoy my musical interlude while I find it. Okay, this is it. It says, "To be fair, I didn't spring from the womb, sword in hand, to fight the good fight, and I am certainly not exempting myself from belonging to the go with the flow crowd on occasion. I remember being enamored by 20 under 20 and 30 under 30 lists that tied achievement to youth and called it success. Lists that are surely intended to recognize the rarity of accomplishing outstanding feats at a young age. But they had an unfortunate side effect on some young people who felt encouraged to hoard accomplishments as fast as possible in order to measure up to our peers." And that part right there was extremely cutting. It was extremely cutting, because she was talking about me. And we talked yesterday about that. And I think, I guess we can kind of both share our experiences.
Yeah. My experience growing up, there wasn't a whole lot of expectation.
This is so funny.
So I'm going to give you guys like my parents' expectation. If you adopt 24 kids and 70% of them are special needs, you have no expectations that anybody is going to do anything significant. Not like that, but let's just keep it real. We're in a small country town. And God can use anybody, no matter what your special need is. And he absolutely has used, my brothers and sisters in their own way. But there's not a lot of expectation. My whole family was the people that were mistakes or were thrown away. Literally, I've had a family member that was thrown in the trash when they were born. Yeah. Another one born in a toilet. A lot of us were abandoned.
Yeah.
So there's not a whole lot of expectations that will be anything with our lives.
Yeah.
So my parents' view on us was just, I'm just going to love them. And just encourage them with whatever they want to do, but not put any pressure on them to do anything extra because they've been through so much in their life already.
Yeah.
So growing up, there was zero expectations of me whatsoever. Like, obviously my parents wanted me to graduate high school, but they were just super, super supportive of whatever I wanted to do. I joined track and they were supportive. I just happened to be fast and I was beating the boys. So then they would say, oh, you should join track. And so I was like, okay, well, maybe I should since I'm beating the boys and I like to run. Mm-hmm. And they came and supported me, but it was never a thing where, did you practice today? We need to be the best. No pressure, right? And throughout school, I barely made it, like I wasn't in any honor societies. I wasn't in any clubs or really, really many activities. I just didn't care. Yeah. You know what I mean? I wasn't big on school. My teacher said, if you're going to talk a lot, go in the hallway. So I gathered my stuff and I went in the hallway and I talked because I like to talk. And now I'm called to preach and talk and I get paid for it. So I'll take that. But it's just funny that that's what God called me to do and be, but there was zero expectations of me. And I never had pressure on myself to be something. And I've had a couple people along the way, like a coach and like a counselor who told me, oh, you can't get into Michigan State. You're not smart enough, right? Mm-hmm. There was zero expectations of me. And so when I heard that, I was like, oh, I'm about to get in just because you're a hater. But even then I was like, hey, if I don't get in, I'll just go in the Army. Like that was my mindset. I didn't have a whole lot of expectation. So I guess now as an adult, I don't know if do you want me to start sharing my perspective or do you want to share yours?
Well, I can share mine a little bit. So mine is complete opposite. Yeah. But crazy thing is we were both raised in very small communities. I was raised in a little small town, Newton, Mississippi, little small town in Mississippi. And, so I always had this stigma that you need to do well. Cause when you're in, it was segregated, even though we were desegregated, you can still, the white people lived on one side, black people lived on another. And it was always said, you know what? Don't go out there embarrassing. Don't go out there embarrassing us in front of these white folks. You need to make sure you're doing well. And that wasn't necessarily the pressure that I got from my parents or anything, even though my parents they wanted me to do well. And, but it was like this, you need to do well. You need to do well. Then we moved to Atlanta, Georgia in 2000. And after we got to Atlanta, it was like, man, it was a progressive thing where when I got to Atlanta my freshman year, I wasn't doing so well. Because of, where I came from, Mississippi, they put me in remedial classes. So I was in classes with people who couldn't read.
Yeah.
And we were in high school. I could read and my teachers would look at me and say, why are you in this class? So then I got put in regular English. And then from there, I met the honors English teacher and then she put me in honors English. So I went from honors English and I got into these gifted classes and took the AP classes, and I was president of FBLA and Beta Club and National Honor Society and National Honor Technical Society. I was president of my school council. I did all these things.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where my advisors, my counselors, and my teachers were always like, you need to make sure you're doing well.
Yeah.
And then it never failed that they would always remind me, don't forget you are a Black male.
Wow.
And that added more pressure on me to do better, to do well, because you're a Black male in America. And that was the thing that was pointed to me. You're a Black male. You got to do better. You got to do better than your peers. Everybody's looking to put you down. So it was like, that was always pushed to me. I was captain of my mock trial team. I was all these different things. I mean, I got accepted to George Washington University, Morehouse, and University of Georgia. I got a full ride, Wow. So it's like, all these things, it was this pressure to constantly, do well. I got into the governor's honors program where I had a chance to, go to college level courses for 6 weeks during the summer. I was, you name it, every award show. If my name didn't get called 4 or 5 times, there was a problem. There was just a problem with the paperwork.
I don't even know when the award shows were.
See, I went to all of them.
I wasn't invited.
I went to all of them. And I was like, okay, I know I'm getting the president's list. I know I'm getting the all A's list. I know I'm doing this. Like, I know I'm getting, the best at Key Club. I know I'm getting this. So I got so many awards that I made my own mentoring organization in high school and came up with more awards to give.
That's crazy.
I came up with the Martin Luther King Jr. Award and the Marcus Johnson Award for my cousin who was shot and killed. I came up with awards just to give away. And here's the crazy thing: the Martin Luther King Jr. Award that I came up with, ultimately, like the principal and the advisors had to choose who would get it.
And you got
so to everybody else, it looked like I had
awards
for
so
myself.
More.
I'm like, I didn't choose this for me, but I got it. I got it 2 years in a row.
They're like, can we please get this man up out of here?
But that's how it was. But nevertheless, as I continue to move forward, one of the things that I am glad, as we're having this conversation, one of the things that I am glad that I'm able to do now when I feel overwhelmed is play one of my favorite games, and that is Best Fiends.
This man will be on the plane, y'all, talking
I love it.
about, babe, look how many keys I got. Look what I got. And I'm just like, tell me about it, babe.
I think I'm on like level 1300 at this point. But with all of the new characters that they always have, I love like the new edition where now they have like board games and stuff like that. So, if you get into a certain level, if you win a certain number of games in a row, you're able to get to certain levels. But here's the thing I love about the game, because you're probably like, why you love to play it? Because it's still engaging towards my mind. When I'm on a plane or I'm in the car, because oftentimes, it takes us an hour and a half to get to the airport from where we live to get to LAX. So when we're riding in the car and the driver, we're sitting in the back, it gives me an opportunity to, I can play Best Fiends. And it's mind stimulating. I love all of I like how they have the cultural significance, and they also add holiday events and stuff like that into the game. So it keeps the game fresh. It keeps it exciting. It keeps it exhilarating, because every time I go on there, I feel like it's something new.
Awesome. Y'all download Best Fiends today, free on the Apple App Store or Google Play. That's Friends Without the R, Best Fiends.
Best Fiends. Make sure that you get it today, Best Fiends.
Let's go.
But that was my childhood. That was like, completely different.
I literally went under the radar on everything, and I
couldn't.
But I never cared, and I was the only person. I mean, there was like one other Black person at my school, but it was them, and then it was like me, and who's mixed. I'm Black and white, and my sister who's Black and white. Mm-hmm. But that was it. Like, there's nobody. There were zero expectations. Like, there was this joke, and this sounds so bad. I don't even know if I should say it. No, I'm not going to say it because people are going to twist it. But back then, like, the white people would say certain jokes towards me because they're like, oh, you're so Black, and there wasn't a whole lot of expectations. There just wasn't. I'm at an all-white school, and, they're only seeing what they see on TV. Mm-hmm. And then they're experiencing me, and I've never even been around Black people, so I don't even know the culture. I don't even know the talk. I don't know any of that stuff.
When I met you, I was like, you want to watch Friday? And you was like, what's Friday? And I was like, oh, hold up. You don't know what Friday is? Like, Coming to America is on. Coming to America, like, what's that?
What's Coming to? I watched Coming to America for the first time, and when I watched it with him, I'm like, this show is everything. And so when they came out with the second one, we actually watched that together. I was so excited, and I was like, see, I'm early on one of them, the second one, but I didn't grow up around that stuff. Like watching those movies, I didn't understand the culture. I got around Black people when I got to college. You know what I mean? And
that's when your chicken started to be seasoned.
Woo. I found out about Lowry's my sophomore year in college. And
do you right.
What happened was I was throwing a party at my apartment. No, my junior year. It was my junior year I found it. I was throwing a party and I was making wings. All right. There's there's so many people packed into my apartment, and my best friend Daylon had bought the Lowry's. And I was like, ooh, what's this? I put it on there and I tasted the chicken. I was like, and I put so much salt on there. They were like, why are these wings so salty? I ain't never had seasoned wings in my life. I was so happy because my parents just used table salt and pepper to season everything. If they did, and you know that.
Yeah, I know.
I know. So there wasn't, it just wasn't like,
We season everything. We season dances.
I mean,
we season music. I mean, we season food.
The African American culture is so beautiful. We season hair. We season fabulous.
We season colors and clothes.
Yeah. I agree. The culture is amazing, but I didn't grow up on it, right? Yeah. So I didn't understand the stigma, even with being of color and what that means, or how Black men feel. Mm-hmm. I didn't have any Black men around me growing up. I didn't know. My dad's white, and nobody was really Black around me.
My principal would come to me, and my principal would say, because she and I, like, I would go in her office and meet with her. That was how,
Wow.
that was, yeah. But she would say, not being in trouble, but she was just like, we just talk about the state of the school and talk about teachers. And it was, hey, it was what it
You've
was.
always had favor with older people, though.
I have.
Because you're like an old soul. They love you.
And so even then it was like, I never forget, you know, it was one time I'm sitting there in front of her desk. She leans over the desk. She looks at me and she says, as a young black male, I want you to understand that every time you step out of this school, you represent us.
Wow.
And, you know, I get it. I understand it. Coming from a small town in Mississippi where racism was extremely real, I felt it.
Yeah.
The Ku Klux Klan burned their cross 1.5 miles from where we lived as kids. So I get it. We would see the smoke billowing from the side. So I get it.
Yeah.
But the amount of pressure that it added on me, even as a child, to have to always get it right and to be the good boy and to, you know, do that and to get the 20 under 20 and get the 30 under 30 and to get, you know, always make sure that my name was recognized. You know, my name was in the I remember my name being in the newspaper in Riverdale. I remember, you know, because I was fighting for our school's accreditation. I remember, you know, getting involved in politics and wanting to get my name out there and all this kind of stuff. I remember that. But then I got to that point after reading Chelsea's story and I was just like, man, that was me. And I think the only thing that stopped it, that caused for me to go in a different route, is when I dropped out of college. Because I didn't, at that point, you know, I didn't have anything else to boast or brag. When I was voted most likely to succeed in high school, I get to college. I run for a senator seat for Franklin College of Arts and Design at University of Georgia. I end up winning, one of only 2 people who won on my party side. I was the Vote Naked party and there was the Classic party. and Vote Naked, it was only 2 people who won and I was one of them.
Wow.
And I remember just my name in the paper. I remember trying out for the mock trial team. And
then you also ran for public office.
Yeah, I ran for
times.
a House Representative seat in Georgia, but I dropped out because, you know, I've talked about that before. I dropped out.
Journey.
Sheriff. But I've tried to do that, you know.
So it's almost like for you have to constantly reach towards things.
I had to constantly reach.
And if you don't, then your value is almost tied to
I had no value.
Affirmation. Right.
I had no, if it was outside, I had no value.
Wow.
I don't have any value.
Wow.
I had absolutely no value. I mean, what else was I going to do? I had no value.
Yeah.
And so that's where I was. That's where I stood in life. And that was troubling. That was hard.
And then you dropped out of school and then God is like, your value comes from me.
Because I had nothing else to fall back on.
Yeah.
Because at that point, my name wasn't in the papers. At that point, I didn't have any degrees. At that point, I remember, and I told the story a lot, but I remember being a server at Old Charlie's in Fayetteville, Georgia. And I had some classmates who were in college, and I walked over to the table, didn't recognize it was them. And I walked to the table and they saw me and they looked at me and they said, I never forget the girl, she said, She said, you were voted most likely to succeed. And here you are serving roles to me at this restaurant.
Isn't that crazy?
And I remember everything inside of me was just challenged.
Yeah.
Because I was so frustrated with God that night. Because I'm like, God, here I am, feel like I'm following you. And I feel embarrassed and I feel all these things. So, you know, I'm looking back, I'm thankful I went through that journey because it helped me to kind of unsever myself away from that sense of accomplishment and ambition. But there's so many people now who don't.
I was going to say that there's so many people that are right now trying to constantly achieve. That's why they get so many degrees. They stay in school. They change their, they go back to school at 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. You go back every year because it's like, I need to achieve. I need to have more because I need to be enough.
Yep. There was a young lady I grew up with, Destry, and she responded. I posted this on Instagram and she responded and she said, I wonder if this is why I continue to want to go back to school. Yeah. Because school becomes that place where I can excel. But the crazy thing is it doesn't translate into real life. Because in real life, you have these things that you are constantly faced with, but it doesn't translate well into real life. I mean, because, with gifted classes, that was based upon test scores and whether or not the teachers liked you. Yeah. And for me, I take tests well. And, teachers, it was easy for teachers to like me. So that was not hard to be in gifted programs or anything like that. Like my name would be first to one who I graduated top of my class out of 400 kids. So That was nothing. But a lot of people go back to school because they're still searching for achievement and accomplishment. Because when you get in the real world, and that's not how life is gauged, you're like, well, am I still gifted?
Wow.
And then that begins to eat away at you.
That's
and then you're like, well, I don't
crazy.
want to grow up because I haven't done enough. I haven't done enough. I need to do more. And maybe I do all these things. Maybe I'm gifted, or maybe I'm seen, or maybe if I achieve. And so it's a lot.
That is a lot, babe.
It's a lot.
That's heavy. I never thought about that. You know, you think about, oh, my kid's in the gifted program. This is so great, but is it so great? Maybe they need to be in the regular great.
Yeah. But I mean, one thing I am thankful about, again, is Osea.
Yeah.
Osea is great. Y'all probably like, what in the world? What they got to do with achievement? Let me tell you something. When I put that body oil on,
Come on.
that's all type of achievement. I could tell you if you want to feel good, heal, have something that's organic, 100% natural, you need to make sure that you check out Osea.
Y'all, so we got Osea in the mail. And I opened it up and I'm like,
The box itself is amazing.
It's an experience. Now, it's really cool. We actually ended up grabbing one of their discovery sets. And it's literally, I mean, it's cool because we can try so many different products at once and see which one is our favorite one. The bestsellers discovery set, which is the one that we have, it includes 4 Osea's best-selling products for just $40. You can try the cleanser, serum, moisturizer, and their amazing body oil. It's incredible value, you guys, and it saves you over $20.
Yeah. So, for just $40, you can try a cleanser, serum, moisturizer, and their amazing body oil. It's an incredible value that saves you over $20. Find your new skincare favorites at OseaMalibu.com and get a special discount for just all of our listeners. Get 10% off your first order with promo code LWTL at OseaMalibu.com. You'll get free samples with every order, and orders over $50 get free shipping. You're going to want it all. So go to Osea, that is OSEA, Malibu.com, and use code LWTL. Let me tell y'all something. Get that body oil. Get the whole discovery package. Get that body oil. Your body gonna thank you. It's gonna if you want to glow, get that body oil and get that face moisturizer too. That stuff will bless your life. But
I love
OseaMalibu.com, OSEA Malibu.com. LWTL promo code. Sorry, baby. Go ahead.
It's okay. I just love this conversation because I think we really push now that we're parents. You get excited when you're like, man, my kid's gifted. I want them to be in the higher programs. I want them to be challenged more, but then they're going to grow up. And then how is that going to translate to the real world? So how it translated for me in the real world is I'm willing to step on faith. I don't overthink anything. I overthink things in life, but when it comes to business and starting new stuff and, it's like I was never the person where people expected for me to do anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's no expectation. So I just push myself, not to prove myself to anybody because I don't feel like I have to, but I don't ever have that pressure or that thing where I feel like I have to achieve. So it allows for me to be more organic in myself when I'm starting businesses and starting things because that pressure to achieve is not there.
Yeah.
It never has been. So I feel like it makes me more free to be myself and do what I want to do because I'm not doing what I'm doing for success, or not saying that you are, but like a box checked off. You know what I mean? Like, or my name to be in the paper. Hey, I'd be surprised every time it is. When it was, I'm like, why? I mean, honestly, and it's funny because people look like, oh, you guys are successful. Like, I didn't mean to be. Like, nobody ever said, oh, Heather, you're going to be somebody great one day. I never had those prophecies over me. Even when I got saved, they would always prophesy to the person next to me. And I was always like super excited for them, right? And I'm like, oh, that's great. Like literally me and my best friend would go to conferences and she would get the word every time and I wouldn't get nothing. God didn't say nothing to me, to nobody for a very long time. And I'm on this journey where I'm just like, yes to whatever Jesus wants me to do. And success to me is just saying yes to him.
Yeah. Well, the cool thing is I got those prophecies all the time.
Really?
All the time. As a kid, I got them.
And y'all get them, but I ain't getting nothing.
But here's the thing. Let me say this. Oftentimes I would wonder if I got them because I'm young, I was young, a black male, inarticulate.
Wow.
Like that oftentimes made me sit back and think, like, is that because, you know, when I get picked out in a crowd, it's because, you know, I'm articulate, you know,
I don't. Good.
Yeah, it's like, well, maybe that kid right there, I'm gonna point that kid out, but maybe it's like a David type of situation where the assumption is, you know, that, you know, Jesse's assumption is that it's going to be one of these boys you can see right here. But the one that God is going to use is the old scrubby boy that's over there with the sheep.
I was David,
and
like literally.
And see, that was, and I think what happens is because we try to separate the kids, and this, yeah, it made so much sense, and more sense when we watch Abbott Elementary. If you haven't seen Abbott Elementary, y'all know I love The Office. Abbott Elementary is my new show. The only thing I hate about it is that I have to wait a whole week to watch a new episode. But nevertheless, watching the last Abbott Elementary episode, and this will be a spoiler, so I hope if you haven't seen it, if you don't know, you don't want to listen to spoiler, turn this off right now, go watch the last episode, then come back. One of the things that they did on there, they were, you know, separating the gifted kids. And I loved at the end when they were like, why don't we just treat everyone as though they're gifted? Because everyone is gifted in some way. And I thought, man,
that's right.
I wonder what would have been different in my high school if everybody was treated as though they were gifted. And I wonder who would not have been placed in the gifted class would have seen that, you know what, I do have gifts that can be unlocked to do something great. Instead of just the ones who were gifted. Because I remember back in high school, it was like, you know, every time something came up, like, you know, Cornelius would do it because he was the one who's in the gift. He's in the honors classes. He's in the AP classes. He's in these classes. He does that. So Cornelius would do it.
There was an expectation on you to do great things.
A big expectation for me to do great things. But what about the other kids who are also gifted?
I once saw this thing and they said the public school system is like this. There's all these different animals. And then they're saying, okay, climb the tree. An elephant couldn't climb this tree, right? Like all these other things, all these animals had purposes, but their purpose wasn't the same. Yeah. And they all have separate giftings and callings, and we all do. Yeah. And I used to get kicked out and teachers didn't like me because they felt like I had a mouth on me. And I guess I kind of still do. Well, dang, babe. I was a little rebellious, just a little bit. I had a voice and I just like to talk and I like to challenge, right? But it's funny that that's how God has used me, but that's my area of strength and that's my area of gifting. Yeah. And that was my strength. My strength wasn't test taking. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of the school systems set you up almost to fail because it's like, oh, you're not good at taking a test. You're failing.
You can't climb this tree.
You can't climb this tree. But I wasn't created to climb the tree, right? Yeah. I was created to swim in the sea, and you have a fish trying to climb. But like, if you try to put some of those animals that are climbing trees into the sea, they would die.
They would die.
Exactly. So
our measurement system is off,
which makes me want to homeschool.
And the way that, oh God, no, but the way that we measure success, I'm thankful now that we're realizing, especially with our kids being younger, because it gives me a whole new way of being able to parent our kids. Absolutely. It's like, you know, well, teacher comes and says, well, he's not doing well or she's not doing well in this subject. And it's like, well, why? Because there are a lot of different variables in it. Yeah. How are you teaching? Because like for me, I'm still a very visual person. Yeah. Show me. Like my prayers to God is always too. Show me. I can read about it, but show me. Yeah. I'm a visual person. So if you're constantly reading about it, that's not how I learn. And if a teacher is not cognizant of how I learn, then you're going to always assume that I'm not learning because I don't do it the way you did it, or I don't read the way you want me to read, or I don't read in excitement like the way you want me to excite. Yeah, who's the measurement? Because if you're the measurement, what if your measuring stick is wrong? That's it. And so we have a public school system, our school system in general, that is outdated. We have teachers who I mean, God bless them. They're doing everything they possibly can because they're having to be parents. To some kids, they're having to be second parents. To some kids, they're having to be disciplinarians. They're doing it all. Government officials. I mean, they're doing everything. And then most of them are using their own money just to help the kids. So it's a sucky thing, you know, that we find ourselves in. But I hope that everybody who's listening to this, I hope that you're able to take something out of this, begin to pull back and say, you know what? I see the way that we're going. I'm recognizing the way that we're going is not the right way. And I need to make some changes, especially making those changes for myself.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's real. That's real. It definitely makes me want to unschool my children, our children, like I know they're in a great school and stuff, but in the back of your head, you're almost like, man, I wish I could unschool because I don't like that measuring stick, because I felt like I was affected by it. Like
we were all affected
the fact
by
that
it.
I did not do great in writing, but now I've written 10 books.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like God's using me in those very areas where I was written off. I wasn't in AP anything, right? I wasn't advanced anything. There was never any of those expectations on me to like go higher and do more.
Yeah. I mean, it sucks.
Yeah.
It really does.
But
we had some lasagna last night that I thought, not lasagna, but it was, what did we have? Shepherd's pie.
Shepherd's pie.
We
Okay.
made shepherd's pie
let me
last
tell
night.
y'all. So I'm sitting here doing my work and I look over and a box is brought in. I said, it's Christmas. So I sent you a text message and I said, YOLO, our HelloFresh box is here.
Yeah, it was amazing.
And so then I showed you 3 pictures and I said, pick which one you want.
Yeah, that's it. And that's what I love. You get these fresh, pre-portioned meals.
And it was huge. I made this big pot, y'all, of shepherd's pie. Everybody ate it.
So if you're out there and you're wondering like, is this enough to feed my family? Honey. It was enough to feed all of us. And I had 2 plates last night. I had 2 plates.
You like it?
I loved it. It was enough to feed all of us. Yeah, some leftovers. And that's the other thing. You have food that was left over, but I love the fact that, HelloFresh, I love the fact that number one is natural. I love the fact that it's fresh. And I love the fact that it's already pre-portioned. So I don't have to worry about, if we're doing shepherd's pie, like if you're in there cooking and I'm like, hey babe, could you throw some cheese on top of it? It's like, oh, you got to go to the store and buy it. But instead it's already in the package and you already have it. And for parents who are already running a lot, like yesterday I took Taylor to gymnastics and I'm sitting there with moms who are like, yeah, after this, I mean, we're there from 5:30 to, so by the time we leave, they're like, yeah, I gotta drive 40 minutes to go home. I still have to cook dinner. I don't know what I'm going to cook. I gotta get the kids ready for school tomorrow. And I'm feeling bad for them.
He's like, I'm going right home to a home.
I'm going right home to a meal. And, even for them, I'm like, well, have you tried HelloFresh? No, I don't know about it. You better try it.
Exactly.
Because all I have to do is just be like, hey, kids, you're eating this today. It's a picture and that's it.
Exactly. Now, y'all go to HelloFresh.com/LWL16 to use code LWL16 for up to 16 free meals.
That's insane.
And 3 free gifts. So that's HelloFresh.com/LWL16. Use code LWL16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 gifts.
That's amazing.
It's America's #1 meal kit. And I see why, because that food, I know you ate the meat one. There's other options.
Yeah.
Thankfully, there's vegetarian, keto, all that stuff, but you were able to enjoy that. And I'm glad.
Yeah. And I mean, and if you're just talking about, well, man, all they have was that, they also have dessert options. So don't think that it's just they HelloFresh caters to the entire family and they also cater to the entire meal experience. And I think that's why they are America's #1 meal kit, because having HelloFresh is an experience. So go to HelloFresh.com/LWL16, HelloFresh.com/LWL16. But, I think just kind of bringing our conversation to a close, I think that we all as a public, we have to do something, we have to do something about our, I have no expectation in our government to change to have any kind of reform in anything.
None whatsoever.
So I think as parents, or some of you as guardians, or some of you as brothers and sisters who are helping with your siblings, or some of you as uncles and aunties who are helping with your nieces and nephews, or some of you who got godchildren.
Yeah.
We have to be cognizant of what our kids are getting at school and these gifted classes, because I would love to see the studies on it and have a deeper conversation about it. But I almost feel like they're more harmful.
You know what's crazy?
And just to get rid of them.
You know what's crazy? I was reading somewhere and I think it was like Steve Jobs. I think he was adopted. And there was a couple other people that were literally thrown away and just disregarded in life. And they become so successful because literally nobody had any expectations of them.
Yeah.
It's almost like there's no ceiling to what you can do.
Because there was never a ceiling.
There was never a ceiling. I've never had a ceiling. That's why I feel like I can do whatever I want. I can pursue it. You know what I mean? Obviously talking, making sure that we're good.
Yeah.
As far as the mental side of it, I'm never blocked mentally because I'm like, oh, I'm just going to plow through this wall, and then it becomes successful. And then I'd be like, where did all these people come from? Like, how did this happen?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
then I'm shocked by it.
Yeah. And I think rightfully so, because like you said, there is no ceiling.
There's no ceiling.
You can go as high as you want to. You can do as much as you want to. It's just,
why not?
It's just all there, And I think that looking back, it's almost like, dang, like, was that the measurement we were looking for? Because for some reason, the measurement we have now, it's not working. So I think we need to pull back, and we need to treat all kids as though they're gifted. Just because your kid, your teacher comes to you and says, your kid isn't good in math. Who gives a rat's behind? My kid is good in English. We're gonna do the best we possibly can. Maybe
they're not called to math.
Maybe it's not called to math. Yeah, and you know
okay.
what? Get the kid kid a tutor. But after that, it's like, well, and really talking to your kids, like, okay, you didn't get the honors class. Who cares? We don't need to be in honors class. Let's go get some pizza. Like, we have to do something different.
I remember reading the study where this 14-year-old went off to college. By the time they were 18, they were in med school. And they were a doctor by the time they were like 22 or something. Mm-hmm. And he was saying that the story just came back to my mind. He was just saying that he wishes that he wouldn't have rushed through his childhood because now he's a doctor. And he's like, this is it. This is my life.
That's it. That's how I felt. I didn't have a childhood because I was always pushed to do something big and do something well. And then I hit my 30s and I'm like, is this it?
Yeah, that's how he felt. He was like, I've had it all. I've done it all. What's next? Like, I'm bored.
That was my life. I was like, I remember writing in my book, Escape the Box, how there was no, like, it got to the point where it's like, there's no hotel anymore. There's no resort anymore that really excites me.
Well, the one for my next birthday should excite me.
Well, I mean, hopefully it does. But I mean, it's like, it's like when you stated, a lot of the nice ones around the world.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, we have our own casita. It's like, well, that's nice. We have a room with our own pool, and we have this,
all of those,
and we have 2-story bedrooms. We have this, and it's almost, then now we get to the point we're like, we don't even want a suite. We just want a little small room because we ain't gonna be in it that much. Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy, but even so, I'm still like, oh, this is so cool. Like, I guess I think differently.
Yeah, because with me,
it's boring.
It gets to a ceiling where I'm like, this is it to life. And I think there are a lot of people out there who feel like, well, this is life. Life is over, and I'm done. Yeah. And so for them, it's easy for them to just think expiration. Because they're like, I'm done with life. But nevertheless, y'all, we want to make sure that we want to continue this conversation with y'all.
But we love you guys, and there's something
talk with
beyond
your kids.
it.
There is something beyond this.
If you're listening and you're like, man, I've struggled with the achievement thing, and now I feel like my life doesn't have purpose, I want you to know that it does, and that God loves you and he has a great plan for you, even in the midst of you feeling bored with your life.
And if you're out there and if you are feeling bit suicidal or anything, please make sure that you call 1-800-SUICIDE. Yeah. Like that's important. Your life is worth living. We love you, and God does too. God bless y'all so much. Bye. Love you.